without that type of a being, I believe that logic, reasoning, and ethics cannot be grounded into reality.
Why?
Because then that would be a metaphysical claim, and then you would have to somehow ground the metaphysics.
It's grounded in reality. There is a material reality that exists.
Yeah, but you can't really ground that into reality.
But you can ground a supernatural existence.
Well, yeah, if we don't have that type of being to ground it into like a epistemic sense, then it doesn't make sense how logic can be or function. Because then that would be just to say these things just are would be arbitrary.
Okay. That doesn't mean that's false. Why is it better to assume that a realm that has a realm and a being that have characteristics that can't even be fathomed? Why is that the better explanation? Or not even a better explanation. Why is that even a claim that anybody should believe?
Can you reword it? I just got a spam call. I'm sorry.
That's fine. So, why should anybody believe that a being and a realm, the supernatural God and the supernatural realm, why should anybody think that these things exist when they are completely incomprehensible to us?
Yeah, I don't believe that's the case. But like I said, intellectually speaking, like if we don't have this type of a being to ground it into like an epistemic sense, then it would be a metaphysical claim to ground these things into reality. Because then we can't just say that these things just are or like function like that.
Why can't we?
Because you don't have a justification for it. It'll be arbitrary to say these things just are.
Why is it not arbitrary to say God just is?
Why is it not arbitrary to say God just is?
Yeah.
Because like I've already stated, like without this type of a being, like we can't just say that these things are.
Why can we say that God just is?
Why can't we say God just is?
Yeah.
Who said you can't?
I don't know what you're saying. So it's not the case that God just is, but God is required because God is necessary to ground reality and whatever. Why can't reality just be? Why can't reality just be? How come reality just isn't and is the grounding for things? Because that's arbitrary. I don't think it's less. We know that reality exists. There it is. Whereas we don't know that a cosmic realm and a cosmic being exists. What you've kind of done is defined it into existence. You've said there's this other thing that I can't justify, but I claim it's required for other things. Why should I believe that? Because I don't like the alternative. Well, that's not a...
I mean, there's one thing is for sure is that it definitely is a metaphysical claim grounding logic into reality, though.
Okay. And the problem with that is what?
Then you would have to ground metaphysics. And how do you do that if it's already a metaphysical claim grounding logic into reality, like along with ethics and reasoning?
I don't know. Maybe it just is.
So you don't know. So therefore,
no, I don't go around claiming that things that we don't have any way of knowing whether or not they exist. Reality exists because I experience it. I can't deny that a reality in front of me exists. Oh, he left. Okay. The answer to this question depends. I think the world would be a better place without religion, but not if religion suddenly disappeared, because religion does have purposes and has been like normalized into a lot of societies. And if you get rid of it, it creates kind of not exactly a power vacuum, but kind of sort of a power vacuum. I mean, some other weird cults or whatever would be developed that people would fall into, and then that could be an absolute disaster. But Over time, I think the world will become more secular, and I think the world will become a better place because of that. Because I think it's no coincidence that as the world has become more secular, it has become a better place. What people will argue that, yeah, except that there are studies that look at like places where religiosity is high correlates with like better outcomes for people in a lot of different ways. But those places, I plan on doing a deep dive on this at some point, but those places tend to be places around the world that have secular governments, and that have all these other, like the way they're structured, like politically and whatever, isn't religious really in any way. They just happen to have a lot of religious people in them.
Like where? Just for my knowledge, like an example of a place like that.
Oh, just like any first world country, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. But what we do see is like parts of the developing world, like Africa, where Christianity, was brought there. There are a lot of places like that where they are where there are a lot of really bad things happening. Like Eritrea would be an example. I can't remember which country this is, but there's a country in Africa that not all that long ago made witchcraft and homosexuality illegal. Now, I think that's because of Christian influences, because you can't come up with a secular reason for making witchcraft illegal. And I think the penalty for it is death, and same with homosexuality. You can't come up with a secular reason for doing that either, but you can lean on the Bible to do that. And there are going to be people like, yeah, but they're just misinterpreting the Bible. It's like, yeah, but if it didn't exist, there would be no secular texts that said witches exist, because they fucking don't, and that you should kill them. So, how do I say this? So it's sort of, well, anyways, I'll let you go ahead and say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a question that I just think about, because it's like it's so many of them, and a lot of the religion itself is narcissist, and so it's like you have this. It's just so deep rooted, but it's embedded into everything about our societies, right? So like you could even say that like politicians are also have these narcissistic kind of, they idolize themselves and people idolize them. So
that's definitely
I don't
true.
really, yeah. So I just feel like maybe it's, I don't know. I just wonder like what the hell are we gonna do about these people, because it's weird. It's weird. That's I think if religion were to suddenly disappear, obviously people would be going crazy, but
they would
I don't know.
they
I
would
think there's
find
certain
new
ideals.
they would find new things to believe in, and it probably it might not be all that much better, which is why like I would never advocate for like banning religion or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, but I think if we allow it to naturally progress to the point where people just don't believe in this kind of stuff, then I think people will collectively become, more rational and at least less superstitious. Even if they can be, the rationality can stay the same, but as long as superstition declines, then I think that would be a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say about, so like we're becoming more secular, but it seems like religious extremists are kind of, like, do you think they're more powerful now, or that they're seem to be like there's more tension around this?
I think there's more tension. I don't know if they're more powerful because, even, I mean, it really does sound like, for example, in the United States with our Supreme Court, it really does sound like it's been hijacked by religious fundamentalism. And I do actually think that there are a lot of Republicans that are in our government that actually think the world is going to end soon, biblically speaking, and that it's their responsibility to hasten that process. And I think that actually does inspire a lot of the things that they do and a lot of the things that they say. However, things still have gotten better. only a few decades ago, there were Supreme Court justices that were arguing that, well, God created the races separately, so we need to keep interracial marriages illegal. Now that's like unthinkable to most people today because of the inevitable march of progress, I guess we could call it. So
Right.
now
See, like, just real quick, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alec below, he says atheists, and I clicked on it, atheists have not created communal spaces yet. I tend to agree with that point, right? That's kind of why I asked the question, because I feel like, it doesn't seem like it's enough that we could just say science. It doesn't seem like it's enough for humanity or for people to keep living. Yeah. So we don't have to debate about it, but that's why I posed the question. I don't know if you have other live requesters.
Yeah, having something that people can unite in is a huge advantage that religion has. Now, without that, people are still naturally going to want to have that. And so what does it turn into? Well, if it starts turning into political parties, then we have a problem. And it kind of already looks like it is starting to turn into that kind of thing. I mean, on the right, there's the cult of personality of Donald Trump, who's the worst Christian in the world. But those people are also all pretty devoutly Christian. The problem I see on the left is, the left, they're less religious, but the left can't make up their mind about which kind of intersectionality they want to all rally behind, because nothing's good enough for them. And by them, I mean us, but nothing's good enough. And it's like, there's so much infighting inside the political left because they're trying to form cults of oppression and bullshit like that. Like, no, Black Lives Matter is not good enough. It's gay, black, trans lives matter. It's like,
correct. And then we're all
I'm not saying they don't matter, but like, why can't we just agree on something and then form a coalition? Because like on the left, you like people that tend to be libertarians, it's different because they tend to be more right wing. But like on the left, we have like the Green Party, and we have oh God, what the hell's wrong with me? Like independents tend to be, if they're not libertarians, they tend to be pretty left leaning, and the Democratic Party. And I mean, those are really the major ones. There are a few others. I don't even remember what the hell Cornel West's party he's in now is. But those mostly are on the left. And again, we're just not great at uniting because we haven't found this one thing that we can all rally behind. It would be nice if people, and the other thing is, not to sound like I'm defending the status quo or whatever, but I do actually think that the United States Constitution and Bill of Rights were like the most important documents written, certainly in modern history. Like, it's not even close. And if people could get behind the principles of those and be more patriotic and be less, well, no, it's actually a patriarchy and we need to completely ruin it or burn it to the ground and start over. And capitalism, that's also evil. That's just, I think that's a bad idea, and it's just never going to work.
So you like the Bill of Rights? Why? Like, well, I don't get what's the is anybody saying that we have to burn everything to the ground?
Yeah, like radical people on the left think the entire system is like patriarchal and oppressive. And so it's like I've never heard them propose something better, because literally those documents were the avenues and it was very imperfect at its inception. Nobody doesn't agree with that. But literally by playing by the rules written within those documents, women, minorities got franchised instead of disenfranchised. And yes, we have more work to do, but we've made progress. And all the other countries that have success that we think are better than us, were second to the game in implementing those things, and they borrowed those ideas from the way we put it together. And then the whole capitalism thing, we have enormous problems, but I don't think we need to destroy the system. I mean, if you just literally, capitalism could work okay if it wasn't for corruption and rich people buying lawmakers and then writing the laws to be set up for them. You don't need to socialize the entire economy for capitalism to make it work. It can be done the way it's supposed to be done, essentially.
I disagree, but I probably won't debate you on it. I think corruption is capitalism. It's the same thing. That's how capitalism operates. But
well, I would say that so people say it's fundamentally how do I want to say it? Not exploitative, and that it's all about greed. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think it can be regulated to the point where it actually does work. Because, for example, there's too many examples to pick. There was one I was thinking of the other day. What was it?
We're not socially there. I definitely understand that. We're not going to have a socialism in America. As much as I might want it, I don't believe that that's going to happen. But
I don't think I think we should, I'm not against Social Security or anything like that. I believe in having social programs. I just don't think there needs to be a complete takeover of, the economy or whatever. But for example, God, why can't I think of it? But I'll just do a different example, like Boeing, for example. Boeing's the only airplane manufacturer in the United States, and the only global competitor they really have is Airbus, which is the European one. Now, why is that? Well, a huge reason behind why that is because Boeing is so embedded in the military industrial complex because of the contracts that they get for it. And they became monopolistic, which there's nothing wrong with. I really wish I could remember the example I was thinking of the other day because it's making me feel so stupid. But there's nothing wrong with one company just simply having the best product and being the overwhelming, most used product because of that. But when they rig the game in their favor by, like I said, corporate capture of politicians or whatever, that's different. It's an example of that could be all the antitrust suits that are currently being brought up, I think those are really good because they make the market actually open and competitive instead of rigged.